Hey everybody, we're here at the Genelec Experience Center in Natick, Massachusetts with our good friend Dr. Matt Boerum again.
Hey.
You may have seen him before. If you haven't, check the link for the Lucius mix session that we did. And today what we're working on is another artist series that we did with Peter Moore and his band that were here. And our very own Will Eggleston did a wonderful mix in stereo. The crew here helped the recording session. It's just a live session, but we thought it'd be a great opportunity to bring Matt in to show us how we could build this into an immersive mix.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I deal with every day is that I'm lucky enough to just get awesome stems from the mixer and do my thing. But I think one topic that's probably not talked a lot about, maybe it's more so in the internet forums where I don't exist, but you know, as a mixing engineer, what do you do to prepare for an Atmos mixer versus a mastering engineer? You know, as a mixer myself, I take a lot of time in thinking about what the mastering engineer might want to see from my mix, and what, you know, if I have a master bus limiter or master chain that I like and I want to keep, but you know, give off to the mastering engineer, how do I prepare that versus maybe just taking off my loudness limiter and letting them do the job. Same thing is true about Atmos. You know, it's tough to work from a straight up multi-track session where none of the processing is applied. I mean, that's kind of like remixing from the start. So if you want me to do that, I can do it by all means, and I'll do a mix match. But most of the time, the stuff that I see is that the mixing engineer has printed everything that they think the mix should include to essentially give me their feel. Like, this is my mix, here are all my stems, you add them all up, and they sound like what I want, right? So I'm just going to show you real quick on Will's session what he could do for me as an Atmos mixer to give me the stems where I know 100% of what he wants is there, and then I'll work from that and do my thing. So there's a couple little tricks in this. If you're not familiar with printing stems as a mix engineer, you might learn something. I certainly don't know everything as well, so there might be different ways to do this, but here's how I would approach it. It's got some master processing, and we have a couple sub buses here. So we have an overhead sub bus, a vocal sub bus. We got 4 different vocals, and a guitar sub bus, and everything else pretty much goes into the main. So if we were to just start, you know, bouncing out the kick drum and the snare and the overheads and so forth to give me stems as a mixer, there would be some concerns right away, which is I've got a dynamic processor on my master that's being triggered by the entire mix. So all the settings that are here on that master bus processor are going to react, you know, based on the entire content. Now, if I soloed the kick drum and had it go straight through that master bus, I'm not activating the processor in the same way the full mix does. Mm-hmm. So in this case, to be able to stem out your individual tracks or your groups so that when you put them all together and they sound like the main mix, you need to sidechain that processor with the unmastered, unprocessed mix. So what I could do in this case is very simple, just bypass, he just has one processor here. I'll bypass that mastering processor, bounce out that mix just as it is, and then put it back into the mix, which I've done here. So I actually have an audio file down here. This is the no limiter version of the mix. And then I select a bus and assign it as a sidechain key. And that sidechain key is then going to go into that compressor, into the sidechain, and activate the key. So now when and then I'll hard solo it here, so it's always going into that compressor. So now when I hit play, let's see if we're on. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not on Pro Tools right now. There we go, okay. So this compressor is being driven right now by the sidechain, which is the unlimited version of the mix. If I was turning the sidechain off, the compression is pretty much the same. It's not going to be identical because we're sending a mono key into this, right? But it's as close as I can get. And for me, as a Atmos mixer coming off this stem mix, you know, I've got a good head start. Like I'm pretty close to what his original mix was. So I've got a good reference. So anyway, I'll go ahead and print every stem now since I'm activating that master. But I do have one problem, which is that I've got 4 different vocals here, all going through the same compressor on the sub bus. So again, I'd have to do the same process for these vocals if I wanted to split them apart and have the same compressor dynamics applied. But in this case, there's no key on this plugin, so I just don't have that option. So sometimes what I see, and I would believe it's probably because of cases like this, that I might just get an all vocal stem where it has all of the vocals all in one. And we have the same problem here with the guitar too. So you might just get all guitars. But in this case, like I'm a mixing engineer, that's what I'm good at, I'll match it, right? So I'll just do them separately. And in this case, we could bypass it or we just keep it on. I think I'm just going to keep it on and we'll just see what happens. So one more thing before I send all this out for my stems is I could do every single bounce one at a time. You know, select the playback position. So we've got, let's see. Okay, and I can hit bounce. And this is called Batala. Oh. It's kind of a BD like that. Okay, so I could do stem and then kick, right? And then we would select our mix source for whatever he's got. I think he did LR there. And we've now got one kick stem. But there's a better way to do it. So what you can do is instead of this is going to LR, so we're coming over here, we could go individually and just bypass this altogether. And we could just send this out a new bus for itself. So we could call that kick stem bus, and then we could go snare stem bus and overhead stem bus and so forth. And then with Pro Tools, depending on which newer version you're on, you can come in here and then select mix sources. So you can do multiple bounces at the same time and then select those outputs. So here I have a couple vocal bus, perc bus. We could make new IO buses and then call them stems, and then it'll actually print the name of the bus and add it to the name up here. So I could just clear that out, bounce it all at once, and let's say I've got 30 different stem outputs. Now I've got 30 different stems that just bounced all at once.
And all offline at the same time.
Exactly.
Amazing.
So it's definitely the pro way to do it, and it's going to save you a lot of time. If you're analog, it's a little different because it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But if you're in the box, it's a good time saver. So I'll go ahead and get that done, and then we'll get our stems, and then we'll start mixing Atmos.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's do it. Okay. So we got the stems.
We got the stems. Didn't get them the way that I initially told you I would do it. We ran into a couple snags just the way that the routing was, but nonetheless we got it, and it should have most of the processing applied in the way that the final mix would sound. It's a little off on the vocals because of all 4 vocals are going to a sub bus that we're being, compressing that vocal sub bus.
So had that not been the case, it would have been
yeah, we would have been very close. I mean, everything would have aligned. Same thing with the guitars. They were also going to their own sub bus. A couple different ways you could go around that to commit all the processing. First, just to it's essentially like an audio suite print across all the individual tracks with every single processor. But anyway, just follow your signal flow and make sure you're trying to achieve maximum likeness, you know, because then that gives us a good starting point to know where you want to be. And then when it comes to Atmos and putting this in every speaker, you know, anybody could just pan it out and call it a day, but that's not going to work. So starting from that sound is a real help in terms of matching your feel for where you want to be as the stereo mixer. So you know, we'll mix this real quick. I think we'll just do like a 30-minute you know, slam mix, so just get it ready to go. And you know, obviously from that point I would tweak it a little bit more, but this will just get everything in every speaker and figure out how we want to approach this mix. I've already taken a quick listen, so before every mix I'm going to listen to the master. That is my reference, especially since Atmos is primarily consumed through headphones. You got to think about trying to match that headphone experience for stereo and Atmos. Some people don't care about that at all, but I would say 9 times out of 10, my job is going to be based on what it sounds like in headphones as well. So I want to make sure that the artist and the label A&R, whoever's checking out the mix, feels that the quality of my mix versus the stereo is equal, different but equal. Also, aligning, you know, to meet Atmos spec or Apple spec, you need to make sure that your Atmos mix doesn't differ from the stereo mix in length by a certain amount. So last time I checked, it was 1,000 samples difference. So an easy way to do that is just import the stereo into your session and use that as your timing base for alignment and everything. And if you got it from a well-prepared mixer, you're already going to have your master and your stems totally in sync, and everything's going to line up perfectly, so you don't really have to worry about that. Okay, so here's our stereo master. Great percussion.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's smooth.
They sounded like this in the room, which you know you have a good recording when the band just.
Oh, Will did a great job. He sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so as I said, I've already listened to this all the way through, just kind of taking one more pass. So the vibe on this mix is just very subtle, smooth, groovy. I'm going to try my best in with all these speakers to reduce the amount of mud from this live recording. That will quickly add up as I start to move things around in the different speakers, especially because this is a 10-piece or a 10-stem mix. We don't have a ton to work with here. So we've got to get a little inventive about how we're going to spread the mix around and create that feel. But overall, I mean, I'm starting with great quality, so this should be a lot of fun. So what I do next is just a comparison of the stereo versus the stems. So I'll just turn off the master and just pick an area in the song. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. We're just listening to everything through stereo at the moment. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just fine if you do. Okay, now I'll go back to the master. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just fine if you do. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just. Okay, so 2 things I like and I don't like. I can tell that because of the thing we ran into with the sub buses on the vocals and the guitar, we're not getting Will's compression on the vocals and the guitar, but because of that, I'm also getting a little bit more dynamics in the guitars that I'm already hearing in advance are going to sound really great as I start to bring them around. The beauty of Atmos or any immersive format, whether it's Eclipse from Google or Sony 360, you know, it gives us the ability to hear music dynamically like we normally do.
Yeah.
And we're not, as you say, we're not jamming it on two speakers, so we don't have to fight for space as much. So, so when I hear things like that, that's a little ear candy that I'm like, ooh, this is exciting. This is how I could make it different, and use that dynamics to my benefit. But I will address this vocal loudness right now. I feel like it's a little, like if we listen just, we hear that falsetto sticking out,
Yeah.
and
No, I
the
hear what
backing
you're
wasn't.
Yep.
And then let's listen to Will's. Okay, so we'll address that with a compressor and try to match that as much as we can. But for right now, before I do any of that, I just want to space it out and get the feel of what this might be. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and send, I'm going to create a send for my LFE. All right, so I'll create a new track. We'll call it LFE. And we got a stereo input, good. All right, we'll just send the bass there and go over here, and we're going to assign that to the LFE. And let's just hear what our bass sounds like through there. Okay, so there's with the stereo. Now let's just go straight up and send it
Isn't that
here.
a good sounding bass?
It's really good. Okay. All right, and with any LFE channel, you need to filter that out. So, well, let's just use the one here. We'll put that at 120 and do a tight filter. That's part of the spec, by the way. You've got to do that under Apple's spec. They require that LFE channel be filtered. Main reason is because when you're virtualizing this stuff in headphones, you're putting into a binaural head map, and the processing when you do that type of thing is you need to sidechain or crossover essentially the frequency that you don't want to spatialize. So an LFE is going to be omnidirectional, and that's not going to get spatialized. It's going to go straight direct into both of the ear pods or whatever the hell you're listening to. All right, so that's that. And now, in a live room situation, this can be awesome. You can feel, you know, let's put it back in the stereo real quick. We're feeling good about this. I turn on my sub, I'm like, oh, it's beautiful, I love it. You go into the headphones and you're just gonna have a muddy mess. So you really gotta find it equal balance in terms of power from that LFE. You know, it might be here on the headphones where it feels a little better. In the room, it's up here. You know, you've got to think about your acoustic space versus the enclosed space that you've got. Okay. All right. So we got our bass. We'll just put that straight up the front like that. Now we're going to work on the kick. The snare, we don't really seem to have anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of congas in this mix, so.
Okay, I'm just going to get rid of the snare. We don't need that. All right, overheads. So we basically have like kit and kick. And this together. All right, so I'm gonna throw some of that straight at the center channel too. Don't want any flamming, but. Okay, and I will eventually, like I said, I'm just gonna space this stuff out now. Eventually, as I start to get to my mix, I'm gonna start spreading out those sends into a proper send where I can process them. Right now, I'm just kind of getting an idea where I want this stuff to go. That's a cool feel right there. And then all these people are playing instruments?
Yes.
Okay. This is our percussionist.
That's Jose. That's the guitar player.
Guitar player.
Nylon guitar player.
Olivia.
Olivia's vocals.
Straight vocals.
Straight vocals. And there's a percussion
That's our
vocals.
percussion vocal.
And Peter is the lead vocal.
Okay.
As he step appeared like no gray hair, so beautiful in disrepair, harmony. The hands of time will wait it down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind.
Okay, so I'm adding a little bit of top presence here,
Be
just for this vocal.
Cause it all could change.
See, just kind of lift up, so we'll work on that later. What else was I looking at the guitar here? Oh, that's gorgeous. I'm gonna actually bust this riff. Okay, so as I said, I would normally, all these things that I'm spacing out, I would then make some buses. Right now, I'm just gonna go ahead and make a new bus here. So let's make a new track. We'll call that guitars. And put that down here. Okay.
Keeping your colors coordinated.
I love my colors. I love my colors. Here we are. Okay, so now everything's from guitars are going left, right, into this. And we can start to play with this here. Okay. I'm gonna make a quick what do we guys have for reverb here? Try your space. Let's see how that works. Signature sound. Sure, that'll work. Good. Let's do. Let's see. I've got that routed in here. Let's do that up here. We'll go direct. Okay. And we've got our bed here. Okay, so now I'm going to place this guitar with the reverb that we've got. Give it a little height. Just hearing the room at this point. Okay. Okay. It's got a cool rear reflection on it. It's maximum there. I like where it's sitting right now. It's good. Oh, cool decay. All right. So at this point, most of the mix is kind of settled. It's just about what are we going to do about these vocals. So, I mean, I want them all coming out the stereo. I want this to be the sound stage, and then this is our hall. I'm not sure how you guys recorded it in here, but to me, it feels like I've got my percussionist almost like front, and then I've got the guitar players kind of wrapping out, and the lead singer still right there in the center. So we could add this overhead send to each of the vocals. That's pretty subtle. Let's add these guys in. Now we can kill pre-fader. So this is where you got to be careful of the mud, because we've got this live recording the guitar, but then these singers are also playing the guitar. So you might want to do a little bit less here, or somehow alter that send prior to sending into the reverb. Yeah, like it's a little much for me, so I'm just...
You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. Hands of time, we're waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. Hands of time, we're waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through.
It feels a little bit, what did I step back just 20 degrees back, but it already felt as I'm widening that room now. I feel a little bit more like they're here.
Right.
Like, so I want to work on the drums a little bit. I feel like he could go up a little bit. So what am I doing on that? Oh, right, I had an overhead set. Okay, so let's just make we'll make a quick group here. Call it perk. And I'll put a VCA on there. I'm sorry. Perk VCA. Okay.
Hands of time, we're waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind.
Which one's this?
You'll be just fine if you do.
This is the falsetto, right?
Hands of time, we're waiting.
Yeah. Okay, so on this one, so now I've got kind of the mix built to where I want, and you know, I'm actually not gonna, I'm not gonna sit with this the way it is. It's just more or less to get the room set up to where I like it. Then my final pass is just to go back and, you know, things like a VCA here, or where I might have sent it to the room down here. You know, this is more like what I'll do in the long term, is set up my auxes. The things that are being directly sent are more just for me to imagine. So at this point, I'm pretty much ready to start carving out the mix, and then I'll go back and replace this stuff with different auxes that I can control, and then, you know, manipulate with different processing stages. But right now, what I hear that sticks out is his vocals. So I'm just going to put a compressor on real quick. Excuse me. Let's see what we got. Okay, just, I don't know here. I guess we'll just try this one. All right.
Hands of time, we're waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just fine if you do. 'Cause it all could change.
Is this activated?
Hands
Oh, I see. It's been a long time since I used this plugin. Like or we're not set on 3. There we go.
You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just fine if you do.
Okay.
'Cause it all could change. 'Cause it all could change. 'Cause it all could change in the ever-changing
see. Okay. Okay, that could sit for now, and then let's go where they're all singing. Here we go. Ooh, where's that? So yeah, sorry for not talking there. I was just trying to create a little bit bigger of a groove. So now that we're in full surround, the stereo punch is not the main component anymore of that drive, and so I'm just trying to add a little bit more control in the dynamics for those, to let that stick out a bit more. So especially on the bass, it's a little weak there. And now we're driving that. And I find that that helps on the low end, especially because in surround, you've got so much going on around you that your focus starts to kind of drift away in a different space, you know? And so that you really need a strong forward to just keep pushing, driving that mix. So here where it is fully dynamic, we're missing, it's like kind of, we hear the peaks and it dies down, and just kind of driving a little bit more power.
Yeah.
Stands out.
Yeah. Same with these guitars out here. Probably just need a little bit more volume, but remember I said I like that ear candy that was poking out from the dynamics of this here in the peaks, but it does compete with the vocals. So now let's try to do something fun with the vocals. So
Okay.
I've got, maybe this will be our last step. I've got my overhead send of all of this. So now I'm going to change that to be, what did I do? Save. Okay. So I'm going to now send this into a new track, and we'll call this the tops. And let's send that direct. And I still got that going in the rooms. That's good. So I'll put this on every single vocal and make it vocal color there. Now what we'll do here is spread these up top, and we can duplicate it. I mean, it's really up to you how you want to spread this out. If you wanted to put a processor on and send reverb in different channels, a lot of mixers like that. I try to not overdo it with the reverb. Like I really want to spread the mix, the direct sound, as much as I can, just to widen that sound field first, and then add in the extras as I go. But so right now what I'll do is in this vocal pass,
So have no doubt the far between.
let's just go ahead and pre-fader all these real quick. All right.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna look within that.
So we're gonna send this up top.
From my shelter there, my elders often seem to share their wisdom that this life is fair but floundering.
That's not what I meant to do. There we go.
And as I walk upstairs, each step appeared like no gray hair, so beautiful in disrepair's harmony. The hands of time, we waited down the
Okay,
line.
and then let's see what else.
You're always blind until you're through.
Okay, well, so why don't we do this? We'll use our first object here. So I'll send this up, and we'll kind of split, the difference there about quarter to the front. And then I'm going to also send another let me think about what I want to do here. Okay, so we'll put an object here. That'll be our, because we're doing in 916, we can't get back to here.
Yeah.
So this will be our 916. And then we'll do this send up here. So we'll put that. And here we go. We are about 75. Okay.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna look within that jury's out on certainty.
Okay, so there we go.
From my shelter there, my elders often seem to share their wisdom that this life is fair but floundering.
Do kind of like a half and half. So I got minus 4 dB here, minus 8 dB there.
So have
And we'll
no
add these in.
doubt the far between.
We have our nice reverb send in the back.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna look within that jury's out on certainty.
And now I can control all of my tops here because they're following my main fader.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes
out.
wanna look within that jury's out on certainty.
And then it starts to lift up.
From my
Okay.
shelter there.
So one thing we could do here is try to EQ that a little bit so that we can add a little of the pitch effect up top. So go up to about 7K, just give it a big bump. We can dial in that later. That's 6 dB of bump right now.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna look within that jury's out on
Feel it?
Oh, yeah.
certainty.
Yeah, so a nice presence on the vocal right there. And that'll help compete, I guess, or maybe not compete is the best word. It'll amplify the compression we put on the vocals to kind of keep them stable. It'll now add that extra shine to it to feel a little bit more alive. So let's check that out with the mix.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna look
Feels good?
within that jury's out on
See, that's it with it out.
From my shelter there, my
Oh, wow.
elders often seem
It's subtle,
to
but
share
very
their
clear.
Really nice.
wisdom that this life is fair but floundering.
We can do the same thing. Let's try putting in the percussion here. So we'll send that same send that was tops. We'll put that here.
So have no doubt the far between if you with eyes wanna.
Okay, and since I like that rear so much, I'd probably make that another aux and start sending it into there. So I have, now if you remember, I got a guitar kind of room reverb that I set up,
There.
but none of that was reverb. That's just added high frequency pitch effect that's just gonna pull that mix up. So if I was to make, the way I'm thinking of it is I got a front, I got a rear, and then I got a low rear. If I was to make a balance between all three of those and create some kind of reverb or reflection, then I'm really starting to add to the overall acoustic space that I'm working in, and everything else is direct, and so I'm just adding in the front, and hopefully it all marries well together where I feel as if I'm watching the band. So far, I think we're there. I mean,
Yeah.
it needs some EQ, it needs some tweaking and things like that, but would definitely work more on. I would definitely work more on the kick patterns there, and I think the bass is settled pretty good, but we could use a little bit more punch, so maybe try to bring that out a bit more, but yeah, I think that's a good start.
It's already, I'm just like, wow, that's, and it's still in keeping with what we were listening to in the stereo mix.
Yeah, so if we go back, we could hear that right now.
To have no doubt the far between a few with eyes wanna look within that. To have no doubt the far
Like what you did on the tops with the peak for the E.
That made that vocals pop, right?
Sound like the stereo.
Yeah, yeah, because I was missing, like, when I was going in there, what I was thinking in my mind is I'm missing that top end, I'm missing that presence of the vocal. I've got the level is fine, but we're competing. You got to think, I mean, how many speakers are we dealing with right here? We've got to always think about balance, not just in the front of me or the behind me, but like everywhere. If I make one change up front, it's going to change how my back's going to react. And so I've got to think about the balance of all the different speakers. I can't remember this study, but at McGill, when I was in my doctorate program, we did some work to figure out, what do people perceive from point source separation between sounds versus dispersion of sound. And I think it was ambisonics, where sounds were direct, like pointed like that. Everything collapsed, and the feeling was almost like mono in many of the mixes. So just because you have that ability to kind of isolate and really be surgical about your sound doesn't mean you're actually going to create reality. And so I think that's something that anybody mixing Atmos shouldn't be afraid of, blending sounds and putting them in a space. Say go for it. I mean, just make it sound good. That's the end result. So.
Wow.
So I hope you learned something. I mean, this
Absolutely.
would. Yeah.
I mean, this was a little lesson, and it was nice to be able to have like a handful of tracks to work from.
Yeah, and a great mix,
this.
great record, great mix, great production. Props to Will for this. He did a great job,
Yeah,
and Peter Moore. Yeah, Peter Moore.
I can't wait for him to hear this mix when this is complete.
Yeah.
So this will be a fun one to hear the final.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming out and giving us a little
it's always
show
a
of your
pleasure.
process and how you get going. I mean, it really was for me like just eye-opening to be sitting next to you as you're moving and finding the right place for where things should live. And it's just feel.
It is. I mean, anybody could mix this song any different way and it'd probably sound just as good, if they put the time in. So it's it is an artistic process, and so the best thing you can do as a mixer is talk with the content creator, whether if that's so separated that you're only working with the label heads or the managers, and so be it. But if you have the opportunity to work with the artist direct, I mean, this is a really creative process and a lot of fun.
At what point would you put the headphones on to listen?
I would have already done it.
Okay, yeah. I was wondering that.
I will start with the headphones because I want to get a feel of that. That's my end result. I mean, that's like I said, 99% of people are going to listen to that. So I would get a feel of what does the master sound like in the headphones, because even in my room, it's going to sound different from my loudspeakers. So I would get an initial idea of the power. I work a lot in pop music and hip hop, and that's all about power and loudness. And so you want to get a feel of what are the fans going to be hearing in their headphones. And if I throw in this nice spacious mix and haven't even figured that out for the headphones, they might get this really dynamic experience that just isn't anything like what they want. So so that's my number one, is put the headphones on first and get a feel for what I'm working with. And then once I've started mixing, probably at this point, I'll go back to the headphones and just get an idea. Because it is a lot of fun to mix in these rooms, But again, you for all the reasons I've explained, you might get too dynamic, you might get too separated. That blending that we were just talking about might be overkill somehow. So the headphones are a good reset point at this point in the mix where I can say, oh, yeah, I need to back off a little bit.
Yeah.
It would be great if we could just mix music without headphones. in my
Everybody had a room?
opinion, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that'd be awesome, but that's not the reality. So you really have to find a common balance
yeah.
there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you again. And
Anytime. Thank you.
when you have this completed, we look forward to hearing it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
Thanks,
man.
Paul. I appreciate it. All right.
It's neither fish nor fair. They said you met, please show me how to find my wheel. Steer the plow, harvesting. Those who have no doubt, the far between a few with eyes wanna look within that jury's out on certainty. From my shelter there, my elders often seem to share their wisdom that this life is filled but floundering. And as I walk upstairs, each step appears like no gray hair, so beautiful in disrepairs, harmony. The hands of time, we're waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind. You'll be just fine if you do. 'Cause it all could change. 'Cause it all could change. 'Cause it all could change in the ever-changing world. The hands of time won't be waiting down the line. You're always blind until you're through. So let it shine, all that chaos in your mind.